time. Okay, so Mr. Randy, I'm very interested. Okay, so you borrow $50 from your mom, right? You borrow $50 from your dad. Okay, you buy a shirt. It costs $97. So how much did you get back in change?
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What?
Oh God, help me, Lord! This is gonna be a long one.
Yeah, I didn't sleep last night.
Oh, did I? Yo,
Yeah,
I
not a wink.
forgot you just said that. Yeah. Okay, so this is perfect because now you're delirious.
All right.
And it's
Yeah, you're gonna fool me. I already know it.
so okay. So
72.
you borrow $50 from your mom. You borrow $50 from your dad, right? You buy a shirt. It costs $97, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How much did you get back in change?
Well, I mean, there's tax.
Well, you don't need tax. This is what we're in. Texas. They have sales tax in Texas.
I'm sure they do.
They have income tax in Texas. Florida. It's called Florida. Okay. Actually, let's just say some random country that don't have taxes. Okay.
Does that exist?
Let's say it does. This is all hypothetical, right?
All right. So $3, right?
$3, easy clap.
Yeah.
So now you take $1, right? You give it back to your mom. You take $1, you give it back to your dad, right? So now you owe each of them $49,
Yes.
right? Okay. Now, if you add those two together, 49 plus 49, right? That's $98.
So where'd the other dollar go? Because you only have one, right?
Yeah, that's the question. Because you give $1 back and it's $99. Like, how is that possible?
All right. So you got $50 from your mom, $50 from your dad.
Facts.
You have $100 total.
Total.
Spend 97 of those dollars. You have $3 left over.
Facts.
Damn.
You give $1 to your mom, you give $1 to your dad. You add it together, that's 98. You put the dollar that you had because you have $3 and one is right. That's 99. Hey, think about that for the entire show. We're gonna answer at the very.
Oh, man.
What's up, everybody? How
I'm
y'all doing?
supposed to be good at math. I'm a scientist.
Hey, that's what's gonna make this so much more interesting. Well, you're also like you have no sleep, so I mean you can't really. You're not giving yourself a lot of hope here, but what's up, everybody? I'm really excited for the guest today. Today we're talking to Mr. Randy Quinn. He's a really good close friend of mine, and really excited to jump into the story of him. This is the B&E podcast. For those who don't know, this is the story of people and the journey of their life and what it's like to be living in their shoes and to walk their life. And it's really exciting to kind of sit down with people today. Just get a better understanding what, someone who's been, a big part of my life, but at the same time, man, it's been a big break, a long time since we have been sitting down.
It's been like 10 years.
Yeah, an easy clap. So it's exciting to kind of just see where you're coming from, what's going on, and kind of what's happening here. So for those who don't know, we try to jump into 5 main topics, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, sports. We want to talk about some of the things that matter to you throughout the journey of your life. But we always have to start with the beginning, right? I don't know if you know too much about your ancestors or where you're from, ethnically or, but where does it begin? Or, do you know anything about your great grandparents or anything about that?
My inception story, huh? So I've never met my dad before, so everything I know is from my mom's side.
Well,
and so that's a story in itself, right?
Right.
But my grandmother was training to be a nun at a nunnery. I mean, that went well, right? I'm here. So, and my grandfather was like a badass biker dude. And this is like the 60s, I think.
Yo.
And
where was it? Do you know what this is? Or
I want to say Indiana?
Indiana?
Yeah, I know that's kind of where
Can you toss me a pin,
comes
sir?
from, but I don't know for sure. But my grandfather held the world record for fastest quarter mile on a 300cc motorcycle. And so he was like this badass biker dude. Like he had this beard. Like everyone knew him by his beard. He was a short guy, but his beard was very long. Like, stereotypical like.
That's awesome,
biker dude. So I mean, I guess his sauce was too much, and my grandma, gave up her religion for him, right? So she left the nunnery, and they popped out 4 kids, and then he bounced. So she was left with 4 kids. They moved to California.
Whoa.
Yeah, lived in Hacienda Heights, and they were dirt poor, like bugs everywhere, and they were eating animal food. And Yeah, a pretty bad situation for them.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that's how my mom grew up. Her whole life, like just like super dirt poor. They didn't have anything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yep. And then
Have you were you able to meet your grandmother?
yeah, yeah, she was a big part of my life until she died when I was 14. She was like a second mom because I didn't have like a dad in the picture
Sure.
for the first 4 years of my life until my mom met my stepdad, which I consider my real dad. Props to him. He's a great guy.
What type of personality was your grandmother? How can you kind of explain like what it's like to be around her?
She's a grandmother. She's a deep, loving person. She was really spiritual, not in the Catholic way that she was brought up, but
Sure.
in like this voodoo medium, let me talk to spirits kind of way.
Yo, that's awesome.
So growing up, I had a lot of conversations. I was like grandma's boy, like totally, because my mom was working and my grandma would take care of me, and so she would tell me all these wild things about like spirit guides and astrology and just weird stuff, right? Not that astrology is weird. I mean, like
No, I get it. But you're a kid. You're like,
yeah. No, I ate it all up as a kid.
Right.
I'm like, oh, the grass is talking to me.
that's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think that that relationship really instilled into me like this question of like, what is this world? What is the meaning of life? Like, is there a God? Like, what's going on here? Like, what happens after you die? And like, what happens after you die? That question just like over and over again. I thought about it every single day growing up. Like, I mean, I don't think about it so much anymore.
Sure.
But when I was a kid, like, I just, I came to this conclusion that it's just eternal blackness, just darkness, just nothing. And I read books as a kid. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I was like the ultimate loser, just this fat kid with spiky hair who was like a social outcast. Actually, the first person I ever met who was my age was Emilio.
Really?
Yeah, Emilio and Michael. I met them both at the same time. Michael was a year older. It was at daycare. I was like 5, and it was right before kindergarten started. And
Wait, so your early childhood was just around family, or was it just?
yeah, animals and family.
Whoa.
I mean, basically, so yeah, I guess let's rewind a little bit. My mom met my stepdad when I was 4, and then they got married like immediately. And then they moved in together. We moved to Fontana from Hacienda Heights. But yeah, before that, it was just like, the dogs. There's the neighborhood cat, the neighbors. I don't remember really much of all that.
Of course,
like
yeah.
3, 4.
Yeah, right.
I do actually have a lot of memories from that time.
That's surprising. I can't remember anything.
I think it was because my environment drastically changed when I was 4.5 when we moved in. So I like all the memories of that old house I know for certain was before that age, and there's like quite a few of them. Animals. I mean, I keep mentioning animals because like those were my friends, But
It's interesting knowing you now, and we'll get into that. But like how in tune you are with animals, like just like. It's really interesting, cats, in terms of like, I just met with him just yesterday. We were just with this dog. The dog came stiff me. He was like, I don't like you. And it just went just straight towards you. And Lily would just like, just engulfed. Like, it's something that's really cool. That's interesting.
yeah, I feel like I can talk to animals a lot better than I can talk to humans. I don't know. But yeah, that was kind of like who I was growing up. This awkward kid who like didn't really talk to anybody. I just read books.
And where do you get these books? Is just the books that laying around at your grandma's house, or?
Okay, well, I started reading like when I was 5, 6 at school.
So this is where you transitioned.
Yeah, I picked it up pretty quickly. I guess mainly because people didn't want to hang out with me. I was just really annoying. I was the ADHD kid.
Sure.
But I sure could focus on books, and that was like my world, and that was my world for many years.
Your mother, you mentioned now she kind of has a new relationship. Do you found that as exciting, or were you kind of like,
So I knew his name was Victor, but I insisted on calling him Dictor. And I don't know when that stopped.
right?
And I don't know when I started calling him Dad, but eventually I just started calling him Dad. And I know it was really hard for him, because my mom was and is super overprotective. So whenever it was his turn to step in for like discipline, I know my mom was always in the corner. You know, she
I think it's
she coddled me, so he wasn't able to raise me the way that he wanted to raise me, and I think that kind of caused like a kind of some distance between us when I was a kid. Like now we're cool, but when I was a kid, like I never understood why. I was always very scared of him, and I think I mean, I don't want to blame my mom for that. I know she was just trying to do her best, but,
Right.
But I think that kind of caused that, but it is what it is.
But at least now you're in a kind of a stable home in a way, right? You have friends. You're starting to make friends with, yeah.
Oh, you mean like
After you transitioned, yeah. When you got to Fontana.
Well, I mean, I moved there when I was 4.5, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
daycare. Now you're with daycare
so they
kids.
put me in a daycare, and I met Emilio and Michael, and on the first day, they punked me, and I cried. It was my first exposure to Pokemon, and they were trading Pokemon cards, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. What are these things? And they were like, oh, well, here, you can have some. And I was like, wow, these kids are giving me Pokemon cards. So they gave me like, I don't know, 3 or 4 Pokemon cards, and they were like monster cards. And I was like, well, let's trade. And so they traded me, but they traded me energies. So I was, at the end of the day, I was left with like 3 fire energies, and like they're like, haha, you can't do anything now because you only have energies, you don't even have any Pokemon. And I was like, oh, like that's shitty. And
Right.
I started crying.
Damn.
And I was like, man, kids are mean. And yeah, so that caused my social awkwardness entirely. It's all Emilio Geraldo's fault.
Shout out to Emilio.
Yo, shout out to Emilio, man. The OG MVP, always like the best at everything.
And so I guess you're in the books now. You kind of retreat to the books.
Yeah. So I dove into the books and Harry Potter, and but I did find my grandma's stash of romantic books. So for a while there, I was just reading these like books about these beautiful firemen from a housewife's perspective. So like all these romantic stories, these wild romantic stories, and I guess I was like I became a bit of I guess I fantasized about like what it would be like to be in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I always had a girl that I liked. And I remember all of them growing up.
Wait. So obviously you're not. I mean, okay. This is what I'm really curious about, because you're in Heritage, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I'm in Heritage.
Okay, so you first go to elementary school in East Heritage. And most people don't understand this. I know some people do in like certain countries, different states, but like in this city, in this vicinity specifically, the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school are in literally like 2-3 miles from each other. Mm-hmm. Like you're with the same people your whole like adolescent life. It's not like, oh, I'm with my class and some people move in.
So you can kind of imagine how kind of that sucked for me, right? As someone who had no friends,
right,
and who was kind of a social outcast, that stuck with me for a really long time,
right.
And so I had to do something to change that, right? So I remember I was 10 years old, and I heard the band. No, actually, I was younger. 10 is when I joined band, right? But I guess I was like, I don't know, probably first grade or something. And we watched the band concert because they performed for the school. And I was like, that was my first time listening to live music. And I was like, as a kid, I was always into like big band music.
Yeah.
My grandma would play her tunes, and like I dug them. But it was my first time listening to live music, and I just remember the massive chills I got as like I watched these 10-year-olds play music, and I was like, yo, like I'm gonna do that. Like that's the coolest thing I ever heard of. And what, they go on field trips that only they can go on? Like, hell yeah. So I joined band. I wanted to play the sax, but it was like $15 more a month to rent. So my mom was like, "No, you're getting the trombone." So I was a tromboner. Yeah, I played trombone in 5th grade, and then they put me on tuba in 6th grade. So I was this fat social outcast kid with spiky hair who didn't talk to anyone and played the tuba.
And a romanticist a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure.
You wanted the sax though. The sax would have. Oh
yeah. If I just had the sax,
the sax would have been it right there.
Yeah, for sure.
You would have been all the way there.
You know, I want a sax really badly. Like those are the coolest thing.
So music.
Yeah. So then I picked up the guitar when I was 11, or maybe I was 10 or 11. And
I found that's like one of the most interesting combinations, right? A reader, but also, someone who's a little bit shy, right? Playing music, like that seems like a very outwardly like.
So I think that music is the very best outlet for an introvert because they don't have to talk. You know, I mean, it's kind of like painting. You know,
right? Yeah.
They can play their instrument and they don't have to worry about like social nuances and like what other people are thinking about them. I mean, I guess, yeah, like, am I playing good? But if you're a musician, you know you're good.
Right.
But yeah, the nerves. I mean, there definitely are nerves. Like I played live and the nerves still get to me. You know?
Sure.
But I don't know. It gives you something to have pride in about yourself. And so when I picked up the guitar, that changed my entire life, right? Because I was like, you know what? I'm metal. So I'm this 11-year-old and I'm like, I'm metal. And so I went through. So 6th grade was the worst year of my life. I went to HIS, Heritage Intermediate School, and I was like, okay, this year it's gonna be different for me. A new school, new me. You know, people are gonna like me, and they didn't. I don't know. I probably tried too hard or something, but I don't know. Like they all made fun of me because I was fat. Like I remember that they were like, "Oh, you're fat." And I'm like, "I'm not fat. My mom says I'm not fat." Right. And then there was this one day, because my mom was always like telling me I wasn't fat, but I was a fat kid, you know, like, so I was like, I called my mom into my room and I wasn't wearing a shirt and like my rolls are right here, right? And I'm like grabbing my rolls and I'm like, "Mom, look at these. Are you going to tell me I'm not fat? Everyone else tells me I'm fat, but you." And she finally was like, "Yeah, you're fat." So
that's a key thing here from like when you started to now, like your waist, like kind of a big thing on your mind. But you also have like just such passion in music. You also have like this. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have a brother and a sister.
And what was your kind of relationship? Were they mean too? Like, did you have much?
My brother is 5 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
My sister is 10 years younger than me. So
whoa.
So at this point in my life, 10, 11, my sister wasn't even there. And my brother was just, little kid.
Sure.
So, I mean, yeah, I didn't really have too much.
It was just you.
Basically just me. But it gets better for sure. This is like my redemption arc, right?
No, this is life, right? Yeah.
So at the end of 6th grade, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna change over the summer. I'm gonna devote my summer to changing. So that summer, I was like doing light workouts, and my mom put me on a low carb diet, and I lost a lot of weight. I mean, maybe not a lot, but enough that it changed my self-image, right? I changed my entire wardrobe. It was all black, all metal shirts.
Yo,
I got glasses, black shoes. So I show up on the first day of 7th grade. I'm wearing a black Metallica Kill 'Em All shirt and black ripped pants, black shoes, and I have a chain. So I'm like, and I'm wearing sunglasses. And so like I show up like all blacked out like a freaking school shooter. But I thought I was so cool, right? And I went through the day and like I knew at the time, like people don't like me because I'm annoying, right?
Sure.
Because I talk too much. So I was just quiet. The whole day I was just like in the back of the room, like total school shooter, just like quiet. But I was trying to be cool, right? I was trying to be like that cool dark guy in the back. And then I decided to quit band because band wasn't cool. I didn't want to be a band geek. So instead I was a drama nerd. So I joined drama. Yeah. So, and then this one girl changed my life. Jessica Barone.
Jessica Barone? I don't know if I know
You
her.
probably don't, but she drama was the last class of the day, right? And so that whole entire day, no one acknowledged me. But that class, like the class started, and she looked at me, and like I noticed this girl was like staring at me, and like I kind of like looked at her, and she was like, "Randy Quinn?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh my God, you look so different." And she came and she hugged me, and I was like, I'm this 12-year-old, and I just got a hug, my first hug, and I'm like, oh my God. And so it was love at
Your
first sight.
first hug?
My first hug.
What?
Yeah,
At 12?
Yeah.
No, man, that's like you are really lit. Like you were talking about being in a position like, man, just trying to find you finally found some like confirmation essentially of like
I
of
found,
you.
Well, it made me feel that whole summer of trying to change was worth it, right? And so like that's not to say I didn't have friends.
Sure, sure. Yeah, of course.
Emilio was always there. He was my best friend, right? Growing up, Michael and Emilio, and they were there. But
A hug from a girl though is
hug
different.
From a girl, that was
That's
biggest.
different, man.
Yeah, that was big stuff for me. And so, I went home. I was on cloud 9, and that whole entire year was really, really good. I really came out of my box. We did this like skit because we were in drama, right?
Yeah.
Skits.
Yeah.
I was Prince Charming and she was Cinderella, and then we did a skit where like I was Romeo and she was Juliet.
Yo.
And
you get now these books, right?
Yeah.
Obviously not like not as dramatic.
Yeah, no, it never culminated into anything. Like
Sure.
Jessica Brown ended up leaving. She went to another school.
Right. But like just now you're the firefighter. Like, not like, okay, hold on. Hey, listen, look. No, wait. Not like, you know what I mean? But you know what I mean, right? Like you're the important guy now. Like you have leveled, like literally went from 0 to 100 real quick. And that's awesome.
Yeah. So that year I got a lot of friends.
Wow.
Then the next year I had my first kiss.
Wow.
And then I was like, wow, like, okay, well, like, I guess, like, mom was always right. I do have something. Like, I am a handsome young boy. And so I started growing my hair out and like a true metalhead, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, this metal thing is working for me, right? So I just wanted to embody it completely and 100%. And I started a band and and then that became my identity, right? And like slowly but surely, I started getting more and more into the music. And but I mean, the girls were always there, like because like why do most boys pick up the guitar?
Right? Yo, what do you mean? This is the dream.
Chicks, right?
Yeah. And you're doing this in middle school. You're like high school. Oh my God, I'm about to slay.
Yeah. Well, because I had been practicing for a long time. I was damn good at the guitar.
Right.
Like at this point in my life, at 13, 14 years old, I was a damn prodigy. Like I was really good for my age. And I haven't gotten any better since. But that's not to say I'm bad. I'm probably pretty bad, but I don't know. But yeah, all the practicing, all the light workouts and the eating right, and the changing, and like it all worked. And so my whole life just flip-flopped at that point, and I started getting friends, and but I knew what it was like to be the loner, right?
Yeah.
So I never left out the quiet kid. So
I was gonna ask you that.
I feel like I never had a clique in school. I had like I was like everyone's friend, kind of, but at the same time I spread myself so thin that I didn't really get to know anybody like really deeply, except my girlfriend, which I got when I was 14 and a half, 15.
14 and a half.
15, yeah. Actually, I think I was 15. I was at 15. I don't know. It was the end of freshman year, and that's when I met Lorena, because she was coming in as a freshman when I was a sophomore, and Daniel Lynch, which is a big part of my life. I met Daniel when I was 14, and it was funny because he had a phone case. You know, we all had flip phones at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and he had a Metallica phone case, and I was like, yeah, Metallica. And he's like, you like Metallica? And I was like, yeah, and you know, best friends.
Yeah.
From that point on, we started a band together, and you know, he's from that point on, he was a big part of my life and has since been a big part of my life. And he introduced me to Lorena because he knew her from Summit Middle School, and yeah, we started going out, and I was with her for a long time, like 4 or 5 years.
The journey of love is really interesting. What also is really interesting as well is the journey of friendship, and I can understand the feeling of just like, man, you know, you're in this place when you have so many connections, and you just like, what ones do you want to make deep ones with, right? Like,
Right.
you know, and that's hard to try and like maintain all of that, you know, while also trying to find your own identity yourself, you know. When you kind of got into this kind of like metal type of like personality, do you feel like that was really like who you were meant to be, or do you feel like you were kind of impersonating that? You know, do you understand what I'm saying?
You know, at the time, you know, I thought that was like what I was supposed to do. That was my like calling in life, you know. But as I got deeper into it, I realized that, you know, maybe I don't really give as much of a shit about it as I thought. And so I kind of took a step back. So senior year or junior year, I was in like a relatively big band. We were locally known, and we went on like a small tour. We went to Vegas and played shows, and that was really cool. You know, that was a lot of fun. But you know, I just thought that like, I don't know, I don't really feel it anymore. So the day before school started my senior year, I cut my hair off, and that was symbolically for me, like that was like okay, this is the end of that Randy, and now I'm moving into another Randy. So I've had stages in my life where like I need to change something physically about myself so that I can become a new person. And so that's what that was. It was the day before, spur of the moment. I was like, you know what, cut it all off. And I came to school and no one recognized me because like I had the emo kid hair, you know, like the scene hair.
Yo, that's that whole time I was like fascinated. It was like such a huge movement that was going on.
Yeah, you know, but it kind of sucked because we didn't have like a scene at Etowanda. We had like some kids who were like in the metal, but no one who's like really into like hardcore music like I was.
Right.
Like I was, Daniel was, Michael was, a select few other kids, but there wasn't really like a bona fide clique. We had our like social groups outside of high school. We would go to the Nitty Gritty, which was the local venue, every week, and we would just socialize there. And there was like a bunch of older people. Everyone was doing drugs. Everyone was smoking. Everyone was drinking. Yet it was a church. Right.
Whoa.
The Nitty Gritty was a church. It was a Christian church. So a lot of the bands that played there were like Christian hardcore, and like even my bands, a lot of them were Christian hardcore. And I mean, I tried to do the whole Christian thing for a while. I was in like youth group as a kid and stuff. And like I said, like I have this whole spiritual journey that's happening alongside everything else I talked about. So I talked about my love journey. I talked about like my self-image journey. I've had the spiritual journey where like I was like, my grandma died when I was 14. I think I was doing youth group around like a little bit before that through a Christian church with Michael. But I never really felt the whole, you know, I read the Bible a few times and it's just not, you know, not my thing. So that was going on, right?
And that's right before you started dating Lorraine, right? Because 14 and a half is when you started.
Yeah, and so Lorena's family was Mormon.
Whoa.
Yeah, but she wasn't, right? So like, that's all cool.
Sure.
Yeah, but I was young and naive, and I didn't see the red flags there. You know, her whole family is Mormon, but she's not, right? So one day, like we're grown. Well, we're not grown. Like I'm like, I don't know. I'm like 19. She's like 18. She decides that she's Mormon again. She took her childhood religion, and that was the end of us. So I mean, more or less. But we retained our friendship like after that, like long after that, and she was my best friend for for a while, and we don't talk so much anymore. But I still got mad love for her. Like, we're cool. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I cut my hair senior year, and that's more or less when I got to know you, right?
Yeah.
When I joined chamber singers, because I joined choir.
And were you still in drama during high school?
No.
Okay. Okay.
That was like a one and done thing.
Sure.
I did some childhood acting though, like 13, 14. I was in like commercials and stuff because I thought my calling at the time was to become an actor. Like I was a metalhead, but like at the same time I was like, I want to be an actor.
Sure.
That's where the money is, right? And like I think I grew to like attention after I started getting some, because I craved it so much for those beginning years because no one paid any attention to me, and so I thought I wanted to be an actor, but that I don't know. I decided not to do that, I guess. But and throughout all this, like I was always checking out science's ass, right? You hear people say that like I like science, right? But they don't really like science. They don't know science. They're just checking out science's ass. Like it looks good from behind. It's like that. It's like the chick. She's like, looks good from behind.
Facts, yeah.
You get to know her and she's a fucking nutcase.
Yeah.
And that's what science is. But I apparently I like nutcases because I ended up liking science, but I didn't realize that until later. Throughout high school, middle school, elementary school, my parents never really like pushed grades, so I didn't really care at all about my grades. I think I graduated high school with like 1.9. And I never thought I was going to go to college. I thought I was going to go to community college, get an associate's degree in some like business marketing and start a business and become a CEO and become rich. And it was just easy. Right. Because, I was young and naive and I was a high schooler. So I did enroll in community college and I think I quit after a month. So let's say I've graduated now, right? I kind of skimmed over senior year. But so senior year, I joined chamber singers and that was cool. It was like a family. It was like my first clique, pretty much. I think, my first school clique.
Yeah. I think it was interesting because when we were in chamber singers, okay, I have this picture, right?
Oh, no.
I have this picture and I'm not going to show it to anyone, but I'm just going to show it to you. The reason I think it was interesting is because we would do trips, right? Because we would be in this choir, and I mean, it's crazy that you just
the one where I'm at the top on the gate.
That was crazy, but no. Shoot, what sucks about iPhones, man? I did not download the picture. It's on my Google Photos. Yeah. So I'll have to show you later, but. We're on a trip, right? And one of the things about you is that you're so good at, and that's why it's shocking to hear you when you say like, hey, you come from this kind of shy origin and the sense of like, but you always you never wanted someone around the team to have a bad day or bad time. Like it was you, Logan, always trying to make sure everyone was happy, making sure the bases were killing it. I was like, it was like the foundation of making sure like no bad day was if we did a competition, we sucked, you guys were always like, let's all go, let's get, like, the energy you guys brought to, it was so much fun. And, there was no, it felt like you had no fear. Like it really did. It felt like you had this sense of like nothing would stop you from being who you wanted to be at that time. It was very interesting that you say this now.
Yeah. And that I think was a new thing for me, actually, like coming out of my shell and being like just a doofus in front of a bunch of people.
Right.
Like, because like, I felt like you guys were all like family and it didn't really matter if I acted the fool, you would still love me afterwards. Yeah. Right. So, so there was a lot of change going on, and that does blow people away when I tell them that like I was this shy kid, because like I appear to be this outgoing person, right? I appear to be an extrovert, but I'm an introverted extrovert.
Right.
I can do it for so long, and then I just need to recharge.
Right? Yeah. So going through all this, how was home? Imagine
I wasn't home a lot. I was always out. I was with my band. I was with my girlfriend. I wasn't home, and I didn't like to be home. It wasn't really a comfortable place for me. I had nothing there. I mean, my whole life was outside of there. Like I felt like I had to walk on tiptoe or walk on eggshells. My mom ran a daycare.
Oof.
Yeah, so she ran a daycare when my sister was born. So I was 10 years old. She started a daycare from the house, and my dad wasn't really home a lot. But when he did come home, he was always really tired. And it was late, and so I had to be quiet, and like I couldn't be on the phone. Like
That's the old school days.
Yeah,
you get the landlines, and you try. You try to get the cell phones. You like,
yeah. But so I did quite a bit of sneaking out, staying over at friends' houses, and just like pulling shenanigans at night.
Right.
Teenager stuff. But
when you graduated college, tried the school thing, wasn't the avenue?
Yeah. So I
graduated high school. Excuse me.
Yeah, I enrolled in school, and then I dropped out really quickly because like I had no passion for it. I was like, why am I even doing this? What's the point? So I started working at Vaughn's as the meat guy. So I was selling meat, and I did that for a year, and then it was driving me nuts because I was just by myself behind the meat counter, and I was always the one who was closing, and so it was just me alone, and with all this meat, and I was just like, I'd have these like really deep thoughts, and this is about the time I started smoking weed too,
right?
Because I didn't start smoking weed until I was 18, and I had graduated, and so like I'm having all these like these, I don't know, it was just too much for me, so I quit, and then I worked at the car wash next door. We would I think I worked there for a few weeks, maybe up to a month, like servicing their machines and like doing stuff and I was like, this isn't I don't want to do this. So I quit there. And then let's see, what was the next job? So throughout all this, right, I'm a mechanic, right? So I've been working on cars since I was before I could drive.
Yeah, that's something that was interesting as well. Is that this kind of metalhead type of like feel, being in music and kind of doing that thing. You guys used to pick me up for school, right? And I used to hear you guys talk about cars and talk about a lot of different things. Because I'm just so I don't know if you guys can imagine this, but like there's a little black kid, right? And like you have Michael, you have you. I think sometimes Emilio's in the whip. Sometimes I think it's very rare. But like you three, and then I'm in the back, and I'm the last person they pick up, and I'll be I'm always late.
This guy. We would roll up to his house and like hit him up and be like, "Hey, we're here. We're running late to school." And he's like, "All right. I'll be right out right now." 10 minutes later, Jovonni comes like strolling out of his door, and then we see him turn around and go back in the house because he forgot something. I'm like, It
was hilarious, absolutely fascinating. And so, and I remember you guys talk about cars. I remember you guys would. I mean, the speakers in the car, like just metal music, and I'm just sitting there just chilling, like, hey, I mean, no care in the world, no, like, just okay. I see the boys doing their thing. It was awesome. It was really fascinating to see you guys have this friendship you guys had, and obviously we had a really cool friendship because we were in choir together, and that helped as well. But like, this bond that carried you through this whole time. I'm so curious on how the cars played a role in that. Because were you Michael in your band as well? Oh, no. Yeah, that's just whole dynamic. Your friendship dynamic was crazy.
So Michael was always the cool kid, right?
Right.
He was a year older than us, but he was in the okay. So me and Emilio, he was a year older than me and Emilio, but Michael always had like a big group of friends, and he was very popular.
Right.
But in 7th grade, Michael broke his leg.
Yeah, I remember this.
A tragic accident, and he snapped his tibia and his fibula, and he had to have major surgery on it, and he couldn't go to school for a really long time, and he was just like sitting there with nothing to do.
Right.
And so that was 7th grade for him. So I was like 11. I don't know, 12. No, I don't know. It was through his 8th grade year, right? Something like that. But I had already been playing guitar, and I was already pretty good. And so his mom had asked me to teach him guitar because he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, he's just stuck.
Yeah, he was a skateboarder, right?
Oh, that's tragic.
Yeah, he was a skateboarder. He couldn't skateboard anymore. And what sucks even more is he didn't even break his leg in a skateboard accident. He broke his leg at a bounce house. which are dangerous places, by the way.
Yeah.
I hear about so many accidents in those places. They should be banned. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I taught him guitar, and we started a band, and Emilio was our drummer because Emilio was in percussion and band.
Yeah.
And it didn't go anywhere. It didn't last for very long, but it was fun. But Michael and I were very serious about starting a band.
Yeah.
And so we picked up Daniel as a guitarist, and Michael was playing bass. And then, did you ever go to Pixel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This is what I was hoping you would jump into. Yes.
Oh man, I didn't even. Yeah, Pixel.
Pixel.
So Pixel was this computer cafe. By
Amazing.
Heritage. Man, we're going way back. I forgot about all.
Pixel was amazing, bro.
Yeah,
that was the spot.
So
yeah.
it was me and Sonny Harris. Because Sonny Harris, do you remember Sonny
Yes,
Harris?
I remember Sonny,
Yeah.
bro. Yo.
Okay, so actually rewind a little bit to middle school. Sonny Harris was one of my only friends through that dark period of my life where like I was just like a complete loser. Sonny Harris was like one of the kids that became my friend, and he was also a reader. And we had this competition. This like I'll go back to Pixel, but I need to talk about
No, do it, son. Yeah.
So there was this program that all of the schools were doing, all the elementary schools and middle schools were doing, called Accelerated Reader. And basically you like read a book, and then you'd go to the library during lunchtime or on your own time or whatever, and you take tests on these books. And depending on how well you recalled the information from the book, you would get scored. And they would be AR points. So I was a reader, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have the most AR points in the entire district. Like that was my thing. Like I was like, and then Sonny Harris was like, oh yeah, and so it would be me and him, and we would go to the library during our lunch times, and the librarians knew us. We helped out in the library,
Right.
But we would just be there reading books and taking tests on these books and like competing with each other. So Sonny Harris and I had the most AR points in the entire Etiwanda school district.
Yo.
In 7th grade, I believe, 6th and 7th grade, and I think he beat me, and I hated him for it. I don't know what happened with me and Sonny, but we stopped hanging out. But yeah.
Doesn't that
Shout out to Sonny.
The beauty of this going back, and that's why I like doing this, is that you start remembering these people, and you just after this you want to just be like, Sonny, yo, did anyone know where he's at? Like, can anyone find him?
That memory was like a brain blast for me right now, like an unlocked core memory. I was like, wow, Sonny Harris. Yeah, I remember that guy.
Achievement unlocked.
But yeah. Okay, so back to Pixel. Pixel was very special.
Man, Pixel.
Yeah.
Everyone was going. See, so the problem. So just to give some little backstory before you jump into this, the problem is that there's 2 internet cafes, right? One is still around. But it's expensive. And the other was Pixel. And my mom and everyone else's mom near West Heritage, right, didn't have the money or resources to drop kids off, and no one to walk that far, and no one to go through that whole mission to go to Netfrax, we called it, right? And so instead, we found this really small internet, busted computers, keyboards that barely worked, mouses that but the owner was the nicest gentleman ever. He would be like, yeah, come in. And it was cool. They had like this elevated platform. It was like really cool. And so we went to this spot because it was the cheapest place around, and that's the only way we can get money, and our parents would let us do this. And the stories, I mean, all summer we would be, I mean, it was just
playing computer games all summer.
Warcraft 3.
Let me tell you what started Pixel, or started like everyone like knowing.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. You guys invited me.
So Sonny Harris and I would ride our bikes around Heritage. Like that's what we did all summer. That was our thing. We would just ride bikes like crazy. And one day we rode past this place, and it was like pixel.net, and like there was some people out front, and like they were like, hey, do you guys like video games? And we're like, yeah, we like video games. And he was like, oh, you should check us out. And they gave us some free hours on the computers, and like Sonny and I were like, wow, this is dope. So we told everyone about it, and then people started going to Pixel. And I developed a pretty strong friendship with the owner of Pixel. His name was Steve. And Steve was an Indonesian immigrant, and he so a wild character, really excitable dude, but he loved metal. Loved metal.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not. No, I knew you guys played it there, but I never knew he.
Yeah.
Yo.
Because he was our drummer.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So.
Wait, I never knew this.
Yeah. Yeah. So Steve, he's like 24, and we're like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Me and Michael. So me and Michael would play Steve. So in return, Michael and I'm not sure if you knew this, but we went to Pixel for free. Pixel was free for us.
Never was free for me.
Yeah, no, I know, because they had to make money. But even like the Hot Pockets and like
no way, he hooked you up.
Or like we would just like eat them. But like so we like low key worked there, right? Like we would give people time and stuff, and sometimes we would like slip people free hours,
Yeah.
That, I guess technically that was my first job, working at Pixel and like managing the internet cafe and. But yeah, we would play there. We'd have band practice there, a lot, like at least a couple times a week. And, yeah, Pixel.
Dude, Pixel.
Good memories.
I was so sad when he shut down. I was driving past and I was like, fuck, I don't know what happened to him, but.
Yeah, they did. They shut down. There's a staffing agency there now.
Yeah. But
yeah, real sad stuff.
That Pixel, man. Shout outs. I don't know where he's at, but that got me into that's like a different arc, I guess.
Yeah.
But that really started the passion of me in gaming. So, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. It was a big key part in my life. So.
Yeah. For me too. That's what got me like interested in building computers and stuff. And, yeah.
So you're trying to now find your way after college, man. I mean, after high school.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of like this is the last time I remember you. Like this is last interactions we've had.
So yeah. Yeah. So I think the last time I saw you was in high school.
Yeah.
I think after we graduated, like
we all took flight.
I know you. Like we hit each other up a couple times, but I think we maybe have had 3 conversations.
Agreed.
And that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you go to the reunion?
No, yeah. I didn't know anyone went.
Yeah.
I thought it was because of COVID that we just.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was a COVID thing.
Yeah, don't you gotta love it?
I don't know if I was really all that interested in going.
Fair.
To be honest, because
that's fair.
I didn't really retain any relationships from high school. Not the only relationships that I like kept going were Michael and Daniel. And like, not to say that I wasn't interested in keeping our relationship going.
No, that's life.
That's what happens. Yeah, friendships fizzle out, and like, but like I feel like. You feel like you could hit me up, and I was just like, heck yeah, I'm coming down to like see Joe. Like it's been so long, but yeah, and that would be the same for like quite a few people, like especially the people in Chambers. Like we all had this like familial bond, and that's still there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But so after college, I had the job at Vaughn's, and then I worked at the car wash, and I'm like, this sucks. So then I was like, I'm a mechanic. I've been working on cars my whole life.
Yeah.
Like I'm like a tech mind. Like all those years that I was reading and stuff, I was also like working on stuff. And like I had my 2 uncles that I completely idolized, and my grandfather, who I idolized as well. I would they'd fly me out. My parents would fly me out to Colorado every summer. Up until I was like 16, and I would work at my grandfather's boat shop. So that was actually my first job. I would work at the boat shop, and they would like have me climbing into the small little holes of the boat, like because I was a little kid and I was the only one that could get to these wires. And like, you gotta take those wires out. And I'm like, okay. And so I learned at a really young age how to work on engines and electrical work and all types of stuff. And both my uncles drove motorcycles, and my grandfather drove a motorcycle, and I'm like, I need to drive a motorcycle. Like my entire life I've wanted a motorcycle. I have so many pictures of myself as a little kid on a motorcycle, but my mom would never let me drive a motorcycycle. So but 18 years old, like, I can do what I want.
There
right?
you go.
So I started working at this real shiesty motorcycle shop in Pomona, and do you remember my old car, my old white car?
Yeah.
With the speakers that were
yeah.
I had an 88 Toyota Celica convertible top didn't work all that well.
No,
all the shocks were busted, but man, did the stereo sound good.
Was insane.
I had
Randy's here. We hear him.
Yeah, I had a 1,000-watt amp and two 12s in the back, and like I replaced all the speakers in the head unit, and that thing was just like it was rattling like crazy because it was this old car that was just put together like shit. Like I think my mom bought the car for $300, and like I basically had to build the whole thing.
Right.
Like we had to replace the transmission and the torque converter and do all types of stuff that me and my uncle. So I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and days at my uncle's house in Laguna Niguel, and we'd work on my car, and I'd help him work on his car, and I'm just like, honing my skill of working on cars and all types of stuff. That guy's crazy. My uncle is fucking nuts. Absolute genius. He can explain to you how anything works, and I idolized him for that, and I just wanted to learn as much as I could from him. And so he I kind of there was like this he's like my mentor for a while. I was like his pupil, and I learned a lot. But God, I say but a lot, huh?
No, you're good. It's fine.
All right. Where was I? Yeah, working on stuff. So yeah, I started working at a motorcycle shop, and working on the bikes a little bit, but I was mainly managing their warehouse. And so it was my job to like reorganize their entire warehouse of parts and stuff, and I had some exposure to that because I worked at the boat shop during the summers of my childhood.
Right.
And I'd work on the bikes sometimes too.
Tinkering with things.
Yeah.
Trying to see how things work.
Yeah. And so I finally got a bike, right? It was a Ninja 250. They gave it to me. The motorcycle shop did. They're like, here you go. Like it was like this big thing. I came to work one day and they're like, hey, come here. And I was like, I thought I was in trouble. And everyone's like standing in the shop, in the garage. And there's this like really shitty busted Ninja 250 there, and they're like, "This is yours." And I'm like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah. You got to go get your license. You go get your permit, and we'll teach you how to ride." And so they did. And first time I went riding with them, got in a horrific accident. I was fused underneath the guardrail in Azusa Canyon Road.
Jeez.
I don't know why they took me there for the first time, but I was trying to keep up with. They all had big bikes, and I'm like on this Ninja 250 with like 3 weeks of experience. And so I went down. I was uninjured because I was wearing full race gear with armor and everything.
Oh, so you're doing it?
Yeah, I was good, but I had to ride home like this. They made me ride the motorcycle home, and the bars were completely twisted. Yeah.
It's like you hear these things and it's so funny because you start building it up. It's like, okay, wait,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I that was big for me. Like I thought I was gonna die. I remember I remember it pretty vividly. I was going downhill and I couldn't make the turn, and so I low sided and I'm sliding across the floor and there's sparks and I'm like, oh my god, there's the guardrail, and I go into the guardrail and like I'm stuck in there, and I'm feeling my body, and I'm like, I think I'm fine. And then my boss comes behind me because he was like, I don't know, like a quarter mile behind me, so he didn't see it happen, but he just sees me, and he rolls up. He's like, fuck. He's he's a real hard ass kind of guy. His name was Charlie Hahn. Yeah, anyway, so after that, I was kind of like traumatized by the whole thing. And
sure.
So I'm up there. I'm supposed to be putting together like $100,000 orders because we not only were we a motorcycle shop, but we had our own aftermarket brand of parts, and we would have like shops in China make these parts, and then they ship it to us, and then we ship it to warehouses around the world and shops around the world. And so like I was in charge of picking and preparing those orders, and so I'm like up there, I'm like shaking. I just got in a motorcycle accident, and I'm like putting together these huge orders, and I totally just scramble everything. So I think I sent $500,000 worth of merchandise to wrong areas, wrong places, and so these places are getting like free parts, so they didn't want to claim that like, oh yeah, you sent them here, right? So they lost a lot of money out of that, and I was fired.
Yeah.
But
Azusa Canyon, I don't think that's
That's quite the road.
That's
Yeah, but like it's a great road. It's a fun road. It's not as bad as Glendora Mountain Road.
yeah.
Which is another crazy road over here in SoCal. But yeah, so after that, I got a job at Guitar Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was working the accessory counter and pro audio. So I started learning a bit about like audio interfaces and stuff. And I was always interested in music production and
Oh, okay.
recording and because we would go to recording studios to record our demos and stuff,
Right.
and bands, and I wanted to get into that, and so I learned as much as I could and bought as much equipment as I could, and started like making trap. Yeah, so I
Trap house, trap music.
trap music.
What?
Yeah,
That's so dope.
like beats,
Yeah.
I was really at the time I was really influenced by the Suicide Boys.
Yo.
So
Yo.
and it's funny because I don't actually think I was fired for scrambling the orders. I was, okay, all right. So think about who I am, right? I'm a metalhead, right? I'm a metalhead. I'm an atheist, and I'm like very about shock factor,
right?
So and like I like the Suicide Boys, so I'm like I'm gonna make the most demonic, demented, fucked up song as possible because I was rapping at the time too.
Oh, yo.
Yeah. So
Let's go.
So
I'm finding these clips, by the way, guys. I'm just kidding.
So I decided to write a song from the perspective of the Columbine shooter. So I'm writing this song, and the hook of the song I still remember it because it was found. So the hook of the song was the voices in the back of my head are telling me to go to the kindergarten, kill all the little kids. And so I like
yo.
Yeah. So no, the rest of the song was just as fucked up, right? So but it looked like a letter that I was writing, right? And so I left it up there at my desk. And so when they fired me, they said, "Oh yes, and one other thing. We found this letter that you wrote."
No ways. So they're thinking like it's.
Oh yeah, they think I'm a psychopath. They think I'm gonna like kill people. Yeah.
Sarah, if you found that on that letter, she's like, "Yep, would have done the same thing."
Yeah. But yeah, after that I worked at Guitar Center, and then after that, I don't know. I worked at so many places. But sometime around this time, actually, as I'm working at Guitar Center, I realized that, I want to go to school. And so, okay, let's go back, rewind a little bit. I was talking about, I don't know how long.
No, we're good.
We're talking about my whole life here.
Dude, it's life, yeah.
It's a long story. But so I had this whole spiritual journey, right?
Yeah.
And while I was working at the meat department at Vaughn's, I had a lot of time that
AC, sorry.
Oh, I see. I had a lot of time to myself where I was just thinking, and I was a stoner, and I was also taking Adderall at the time because I was diagnosed with ADHD as a kid, and I wanted to see if maybe it would help me function in life, and I don't really think that I did have ADHD. I think I was just a hyper quirky kid,
yeah.
Because to this day, like I'm like, I want to say I'm very type A, I can focus just fine, and I was a reader. Like
it's something weird about especially drugs, right? But Adderall in general, right? Especially when you start, because one thing about Adderall, and when I was in college, one of the things I've noticed is that it's one of those things that like you start off thinking like, oh, whoa, a big shift in your main perspective.
It's meth. It is meth.
Yes. So this is where things get really crazy because then I've seen people take like 2, and that's when you start getting really dangerous. And I can't imagine being one psychedelic, but also on Adderall.
Yeah,
imagine you must be really
I was
in perspective.
A caffeine addict too, so I'm like on copious amounts of caffeine. I'm taking Adderall. I'm not overdosing or taking too much. I've always been very sensitive to it, to most compounds anyway. But Yeah, and being high at the same time, and behind the meat counter, and I was just having these like, I was having these groundbreaking thoughts and ideas, and I'm like having a panic attack behind the counter, and then I'm only broken away from it when someone says, "Hey, can I get a half pound of these crab legs?" I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Let me go get my knife. um, yeah, no, I was going crazy. But like the thing that was driving that was like what is my purpose in this life? And like what am I meant to be? Like what am I meant to do? Like what am I doing here? Why am I at Vaughn's selling meat? What's the point? And then so I had this car. I got I got somewhat of an inheritance when I turned 18. My stepdad's parents put away money for him, and then he decided to give it to his kids when they became 18. And so I was a kid just like his other kids. You know, he always tried to make things fair between us all. Even though I was a stepkid, I was his son.
Wow,
which is cool.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah. So I got some money. I think it was like $3,000. And I wanted an MR2 turbo. I wanted an MR2 turbo so bad. And so I was shopping for a very long time, like a year up to that point, because I knew I was going to get this money. And I was like trying to fix up my car as much as I could to like sell it for what it was. I think like I said, I think they bought it for like $300. I think I used it as part of the payment for my car, and it was like $2,000 worth of a payment. But anyway, I got this bright orange MR2 turbo, and it made the pew sounds, and it was super cool. Yeah, it was stick shift, and I didn't know how to drive stick shift, so I burnt the clutch immediately. But I loved that car. But the thing was that car, I bought it, and I bought a bunch of parts for it, and like it was really souped up, and I was getting 8 miles to the gallon.
8
miles to the gallon in a I think it's a 1,900-pound car, 2,000-pound car, a very light car. The engine was in the back. It was a 2-seater, sick car. Yeah, 8 miles to the gallon. It was not the bee's knees, and it was breaking. It would break down all the time. And so I'm working this job, making $8 an hour. Not even like, full. I guess it was. I think I was working 40 hours most weeks, but it wasn't enough to even upkeep the car. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And so the car blew up, and then I said, you know what? Like, get it away. And so I sold it for pennies, and those cars are worth so much now.
Yo.
Yeah, they're worth so much now. It's like $20,000 for the condition that was in. Easy. Unfortunate.
It's so hard to see that far ahead, though.
Yeah, it really
it's
is.
so hard.
I feel the same thing about all my Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yo, hey, I held on some.
I have some. But I didn't keep them in as good as
who would have thought
condition as I probably should have. But that's besides the point. But yeah, so
you're in a battle of trying to figure out what your goals are, what you want to get done.
And so I took a real hard look at my life and the things that interested me and the things that like I had seen, and I kept going back to this field trip I had in like second grade where I don't even know where we went, but I looked under a microscope for the first time, and like one of the really only times, which is crazy to me now as someone who's graduated from a UC with a science degree, that I didn't have any scope work throughout my entire life. Like growing up, like how did I not see under a microscope all that time? But I did that one time in that one field trip, and it was so amazing to me. And so I started doing like my own personal research into science, and then I saw Iron Man, and Iron Man changed my life because I'm a mechanic, right? And then seeing Tony Stark like put together this suit and like this, like it was just so metal to me, like the whole thing was just so metal, and I'm like, wow, like this exoskeleton that's keeping him alive, like that's so cool, and it's science, and it's like, wow, that's rad. And so I'm also having this spiritual journey, like not only what is like the point of my life, but like what is the meaning of life.
Sure.
And I I developed this crazy thought that it's like, okay, what is the meaning of life? Well, what is the meaning of my life? Like, what are they together? Like, so I thought that, okay, the theme of life, like the thesis of life is evolution. From the Big Bang, 14 billion years to get where we're at. It was just hydrogen, right? And then there was this explosion, and then hydrogen split into all these other elements, and all these elements came together and formed molecules, and these molecules formed compounds, and then rocks were formed, and like different materials, and like everything started to become structured. And like if you think about like the universe, it's a highly structured organism, right? We have the center of the universe, which is like this crazy huge black hole, and then we have all these other galaxies that are flying around this black hole, but in an organized manner where like everything is attracted to everything, and there's this increasing level of complex order, and I guess increasing complexity as you go down like the levels from universe to organism. Like we have the solar system, and on the solar system we have this planet, and on this planet we have these continents. On these continents we have these different ecosystems, but yet all these ecosystems like function to provide like a healthy like atmosphere for the planet, and that provides for the organism, and then we have populations, and then we have individuals, and like, but yet all that didn't exist in the beginning. So as time progresses, things get more complex, and evolution has led to the Homo sapien that we see today ourselves. But we're at this point where we have this ability to evolve ourselves. And this is where I found something called transhumanism. And transhumanism is the idea that our job as Homo sapiens is to transcend humanity and create Homo sapiens plus, right? Because we have the ability to become something better. And so I was like doing all this like thought, right? And I found this idea of transhumanism, which is already this established idea, right? This philosophy. And I just completely embraced it. And I was like, for a while there, when people asked me like, oh, what are you? You Christian? I was like, no, I'm a transhumanist. There are people like, what is that? Today, I think I would call myself a pantheist. I think everything is the body of what people would consider God. Like we are the cells of God, right? Like I was talking about the structure of the universe. Like the universe is an organism, and all the parts of the universe contribute to like the organism as a whole. But and it's crazy because like every atom in my body is attracted to every atom in your body right now through gravity, right? And then but it's also attracted to every other atom in the entire universe, which is crazy. We are all connected through like gravity, and that's just gravity. Like we don't understand reality enough to know all of the ways that we're connected, through all of the different frequency levels. There's so much stuff going on. It's crazy. So, but I think it is all quantifiable, and or qualifiable or whatever. I think I don't believe in magic, but I think like there could be a science that can explain like magical phenomena, maybe, like there's like microwaves, bro. Microwaves are crazy. we put our food in this box, and we put this food in, and then these energy waves bounce around in this microwave, and then shake the water molecules and all the polar molecules, and like freaking then our food gets hot and cooked, and it's crazy. That's magic. Like if you were to like show that to someone in the 1600s, they would fucking hang you. Like you're a witch. So
I have a curious question here.
Yeah.
How do you think your grandmother would feel in terms of like the way your spiritual journey has been? I know it's been so long,
I think she would be super proud, honestly. She was very much about like, individual thinking. Like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
individuality, like be your own person, find your own way. And yeah, I think she would be proud.
I'd be so interested in the conversation you could have had with her. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that'd have been so what fascinating. I think that's the ability to be able to comprehend something is a long journey. Like, and it seems like you really don't want to just superficially understand it. Like, you want to actually really understand it. And I think that's awesome. Just trying to really look into something and have to see it and really understand it. So where you can make sense of it and also be able to explain it. And I think that's interesting. You almost took a little bit from your uncle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna say that too. Like his, ability to understand something inspired me to want to be able to understand things as well. And then all that mechanic work and working on computers at Pixel and working on
Guitars and
just everything, right?
it all makes sense. You like literally found your purpose in a way.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, what's the next step from being like a motorcycle mechanic? I want to be a people mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a doctor. But in reality, what I really wanted to do was so I went back to school, right? My first claimed major was mechanical engineering, because I was like, I want to make an exoskeleton that will make someone live on forever. So what I left out was that, okay, so I'm like, all right, humanity plus, right? Or Homo sapiens plus, right?
Sure.
Like my role on this earth is to somehow contribute to the transcendence of humanity. I want to become immortal, right? Because I was telling you, like I thought about that a lot as a kid.
Right.
Like,
what happens when you
after
die?
Blackness. I'm fearful of that. I don't want to die. Like that's my worst fear in the world is dying. I don't want to die. But so I'm like, what can I do to prevent myself from dying? Well, let's invent immortality. So I went to community college with the intent on achieving immortality. That sounds fucking crazy, right? But it's the truth.
Right.
And so I thought mechanical engineering was the way to do it. I could create this bio environment that I could stick my brain in that will like provide the perfect chemicals, or the perfect environment for my brain to survive forever, right? Whatever. Like I hadn't gone to college yet. I think my like I said, my GPA from high school is like a 1.9, right? So I started in pre-algebra in community college, and I went all the way up to Calc 3, multivariable calculus, and I got straight fucking A's, which is crazy, right?
That's awesome.
But I always knew that like I wasn't dumb.
Right.
I wasn't getting bad grades because I was dumb, and I wanted everyone to know it too in high school. So like I took honors classes, right? I didn't take AP classes because I said fuck taking the test. Plus I think you had to have like a certain GPA at the time. But I wanted everyone to know like okay, it goes back to third grade for me, because in third grade there was this group of students who were like above the rest of the students. My teacher gave them like this name, and she gave them like extra homework assignments and like gave them like treats and stuff, and I wanted to be one of them. And Emilio was in there, and Miss Corduff, third grade, like she really made me want to like prove myself in a way, like intellectually to people. So I always wanted to prove myself to other people, like that I wasn't dumb, right? Because I felt dumb because I wasn't part of that group, and that sucked for me. I was like, damn, like people think I'm dumb, I didn't want that. So I always like made it a point to like let people know, hey, like I could if I wanted to, but I don't care that much. So like I'm not going to. And then so college was really the time to prove that to myself, right? I'm like, okay, so I've been talking this big talk my whole life that I'm smart, right? Now I got to prove it. And I did, and I felt really good about myself because math was like, I hated math through high school because like it just wasn't applicable to anything to me. And so took math classes, physics classes. So I was mechanical engineering major, and then I changed to electrical engineering major, and then I changed to biomed engineering, and then I changed to neuroscience, and then I went back to biomed, and then I went back to neuroscience. So I took a lot of classes that I didn't have to take in community college. I took all the physics classes. I took basic engineering classes. I took all the chemistry classes. I took all the bio classes. I took all the math classes. God forbid, I can't believe I did that. So I was in community college for 4 or 5 years. It was a 2-year course that turned into like something way more. So I ended up claiming neuroscience. And throughout this, when I was 21, I met my current girlfriend, Nicole. And so we've been together for 8 years now. We're in our 8th year. Yeah. And so, you know, like I said, I was getting straight fucking A's. And then I met her. You know, I love her to death, but that's the problem, right? So my priorities kind of shifted. You know, I was really gung ho about like my purpose in life is to get a 4.0, go somewhere crazy, do something crazy, go to a graduate school, get my PhD, also get my MD so that I can remove people's brains and put them into like bowls, right? Like that. That's what I wanted.
Yo, this sounds like some. You ever watch Stargate? I'm gonna send you this. You have to watch this because it's gonna remind you a lot of what you're talking about here. But continue.
Yeah, I had some far-fetched thoughts, but I think a lot of science students do. They have these really lofty goals, and you know, aim for Jupiter, land on the moon, right?
Sure.
So yeah, I met Nicole. My grades slipped a little bit. I was still getting B's and A's. I was still getting A's mostly. But I remember my first C, I was crushed. But I ended up getting a decently good GPA transferring from my community college, which was Mount SAC. Shout out to San Antonio College.
Mount SAC.
Yeah,
that's a really good community.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I saw Devin Ross there.
Yo.
And Kayla Fernandez. Yeah. Good times at Mount SAC. But yeah, so that's really when I found myself, was in community college, because I met a group of people that were like me, kind of like we were all in this together, like trying to study crazy chemistry, right? So it was my last quarter, or my last semester at Mount SAC. I was in organic chemistry 2, and there was a group of students that I had gotten kind of to know through taking other classes with them, and we were all just in this class together, and we were all set to transfer out because we were in OChem 2 is pretty much the last class you take before you transfer out as any biology student or chemistry student, or I was neuroscience, and so we were all studying together, and there was just such a strong camaraderie that we had, and I loved them. You know, they were like my close family. I'd hang out with these guys every single day, these people every single day, and we were just in the struggle bus together. And so we all applied to UCR, and we all got into UCR. I think there was 8 of us total. We all got into UCR, and we were all in the same class. That's unheard of. Usually when you transfer to a university, you don't know anybody.
Right.
I had this group of students that I had really gotten to know.
Wow.
And I considered them really good friends. And so we had so after the class was over, we had a party, and it was really cool. And then we studied over the break with each other in our transition to UCR. And I applied for this program. It was called Bridge to Summer Research, and it was an opportunity for transfer students to get involved with the cutting edge research that was being done at UCR. And it was I think they were looking for 18 students total, and this is from all of the community colleges that were transferring to UCR, and everyone applied for it. You had to write a bunch of essays and stuff, and I applied for it, and then they went to every school to give a seminar on what the program was and why you should apply, and even though only 18 students were going to be involved in it, and there were hundreds of applications, but I had this idea. And it was to get to know, because I was in the Caduceus Club at Mount SAC, which was the pre-medical club at Mount SAC. And one of the things that they taught us, there was this excellent professor, Professor Rexak, and she was like, you gotta suck up to these people, like these people that are going to be on admission committees and like if you can make because we were going to pre-medical conferences, and she was like, if you can make any sort of connections here, that's going to benefit you. It's going to benefit you. Like you need these connections because they can write you letters. They can like a lot of these people are part of admissions committees, and if they know you, they're going to choose you over someone that they don't know. So she said, do anything you can to like get to know these people. So I had already applied for the Bridge to Summer Research, and the person that was giving the person that was like talking to us about it, at the end, I went up to her and I was like, hey, like, I made this mistake on my application. I didn't make a mistake on my application, but I made this mistake on my application, and I didn't submit a paper. It was something, I don't exactly remember what it was, but I made her give me her email, and she said, oh yeah, let's talk about this. I can get it redacted, and you can or returned to you, and you can do what you need to do. And so she got my email, and we had some correspondence, and guess who was accepted into the first research? Bro, it was paid research. It was my first job. Or my first science job.
Yeah.
I was stoked about it. I was doing actual research. Like, it was really cool. My first year, or it was the summer before we started at UCR.
18, did you ever get to notice how many people applied?
I know it was hundreds.
Yeah.
And I know everyone I knew applied, and no one got in. But I got in because I talked to her.
Heck yeah. That's marketing 101, baby.
Well, yep.
You know what's interesting is that your story sounds so familiar to your grandmother's in a way. You mentioned earlier how she went to go to school for being a nunnery. She worked so hard to be a part of that. And then she fell in love in a way, right? Yeah. And the grade slipped a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of like of the fight, right? The fight to try to be the best at something. Mm-hmm. And I know you didn't get to really know your grandfather, but his spirit of like trying to be the best, trying to go and like, be the 100cc. You said he was
fastest quarter mile in 300cc motor.
I think there's a sense of like of determination that you have, and I never knew that you had so much like when you go after a goal, like if you really want to get it.
Yeah, I obsess about things.
Holy cow! Like there's nothing that will stop you achieving it. It's really, really cool.
So rewind a little bit. Through community college, I needed to make money, right? So
sure.
I started my business. It was called the Beard Brewery. I'm not sure if you remember, but I was like, requesting everyone on IG. Or you don't have an IG?
No, I don't.
But so I started this business. It was a male cosmetics company. I made beard oils, beard balm, mustache wax, lotions, soaps, shampoos.
Randy.
Yeah.
Yo,
so I had this laboratory that I made in my room, and I'm making soap. And I don't know if you know anything about making soap, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Potassium hydroxide. I was making liquid soap. So potassium hydroxide.
You're making liquid soap.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were making like
shampoo, right? The base of soap.
Whoa.
So, you make a concentrated soap, and then you like dilute it with oils and stuff, and so I had this explosion in my room, and it like melted my desk, and then it was just because when you're making soap, it expands, and I didn't calculate the expansion properly, and so the vessel that I was making all the soap in, because I was making a lot because I had a lot of customers, what I would do is I would go and I'd get my hair cut at a new barber, and I had this beard at the time. I gotta show you pictures. I don't think you ever saw me.
I don't think you had. Yeah.
I had a beard. It was like down to my ribs.
Really?
Dense beard, fucking beautiful. I had like a beautiful mustache, and I'm like 23, 24. I'm a young guy. And I just have this beard, and everyone would ask me about my beard, but I only had it because it was the way that I was marketing my company.
Yeah.
So I would go to a different barber shop every time to get a haircut, and they would all compliment my beard. How did you have such a nice beard? It's so soft. It's so nice. And I was like, let me tell you about that. I have this company that it's called the Beard Brewery, and I make all these products, and I could make you a product, and you could put your own brand on it, because barbers, they're all entrepreneurs. Because they're all like they're trying to grow their brand. They're trying to bring customers to them. They all want their own product, and most barbers also sell products on the side, like shaving products or like whatever, gels. So, and I made gels too. And so I was like, here's my catalog, and I had a catalog of all the stuff that I made, and I had what I really was selling my big selling point was that I have all these scents. I had like more than 200 scent oils, and I still have them. That like just this huge box of oils that just smelled like everything from like I had like a Gillette Fusion scent, I had like a bourbon scent, like a oak moss scent, and there are infinite combinations. You can combine all of these scents to make whatever scent you want. So I was like, and then I had it in my car. And I was like, yeah, I have my scents in my car right now. I can come show you. And they all were super interested. So I had like a cup full of coffee grounds and all these scents. And so I was like every time they'd smell a scent, like you got to smell the coffee grounds to clear your palate afterwards, so that you can have a fresh
to clear
for the next scent. And yeah, man, I was making decent money, and it was too much. Not too much money, too much work.
Sure. Just you.
Yeah, so it was my hustle, and I the more I work, and then I had my Etsy store too, and I was selling a bunch on Etsy. I have over 100 sales, whatever. But I'm also taking a full load of classes at the same time. I'm doing physics, calculus, chemistry, biology, all at the same time while I'm doing. So it was intense, and it was too much, and and then I have a girlfriend too, and balancing all this stuff is just too hard. So I shut the business down. I said, you know what? I understand that one day, this could, it's already making enough money to live on my own.
Sure.
But one day, it could be something big. But I know this could be my out, but I don't want this to be my out. The beard brewery was just supposed to be something, to pay my bills while I was going through school.
Yeah.
And so now that I'm moving on to university, and now that I'm finally eligible for financial aid, which I wasn't before, and my parents didn't give me any money for school.
Yeah.
So I had to figure it out myself, and using the FAFSA, I was able to at least get the BOG waiver, which is the Board of Governors fee waiver, which pays for your community college classes. But I had to kind of postpone, and that's another reason why I didn't feel so bad about changing my majors, all that, and taking all those classes, is because I had to wait until I was 24 before I'd be eligible for student loans from the federal government. And because my dad made too much money, and so otherwise I would have to take out private loans or figure it out myself. I couldn't do that. So when I turned 24, 25, I transferred to UCR, and then I shut my business down because I didn't need it anymore. Sure. I was able to take out loans to live, and I could just focus on school, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to focus on school, get the best grades I could,
and put your brain in a bowl.
Put some brains in bowls. I think at this point I had already been in community college for 4 years, so I kind of tempered my goals a little bit, and decided that maybe I just want to be a neurosurgeon. I just want to be a neurosurgeon. It's still not fully tempered, right? So actually, that's still my goal.
Hey, do it, yo.
Yeah.
But, it's crazy. It's Randy.
Yeah, you would never have guessed,
holy cow,
in high school, this degenerate fuck.
No, I
don't give a shit about his grades. Who is just this class clown guy, who thought that he was gonna become a scientist one day, right?
Who did?
Yeah, who thought that? No one thought that. I didn't. I surely didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, that was just no, science, no, math, no. Apparently, I'm still not good at math, because I don't know the answer to your riddle.
How long were you there at UC? I know, right?
Yeah. I was at UCR for 2 years.
2 years.
So yeah, I did that research in the summer, and I really impressed my PI, my boss. PI stands for primary investigator. In a university lab, you have generally a PhD college professor who runs the lab, and they do their research, and then they teach on the side. So most people think colleges are where you go to get an education, but college professors don't see it that way. No. College professors are college professors because they have research. They are their big money is grants from governments and companies and individuals. They apply for these grants, and then they get money to fund their research, and they get graduate students to do their research for them, and sometimes undergraduate students. And I was in that special case, a sometimes undergraduate student who had the privilege of conducting groundbreaking research at a university tier 1 campus, like a tier 1 research university, which is really cool. And so I was working in a microRNA lab, and we were doing research on RNA interference, which is just a little super complicated.
Yeah, sounds complicated. We have to jump into that at the PM, man, if you're ever free.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell you a lot about it. But my boss, my PI, he always said, "You have such good hands," because everything I did came out well, and it's because I work on stuff. So my pipetting skills are phenomenal. I can take out, like, so like let's say like you have oil in an aqueous solution, right? It like bubbles up. I can take a pipette and just pull that oil out and get all the oil and get no water, like to like
quite
perfect
literally,
degree.
yeah.
And I can I can pipette to a half a microliter, which is like a very tiny amount of volume, and I can see that, and most people can't see that. And so the lab I was working in, we dealt with these microorganisms called C. elegans. They're these tiny little worms. They're 1 millimeter long, and you could almost see them if you like take off your glasses and you look really close. But I was able to pick these up pretty well and like distinguish them under. So we were like looking in a microscope, and then we had to like pick them up with a wire. But I found out, well, I was helped by someone else, but I learned the eyebrow method. So what you do is you take a glass stir rod and you heat it up on a Bunsen burner until it's melting, and you pull one of your own eyebrows out, and you put it at the end of the glass stir rod, and you just have like this hair on a rod, and you can use that to pick up the little little tiny worms. And then that's how you move into different petri dishes. So I was making my own colonies of like genetically modified C. elegans, and it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I was doing micro injections. So these C. elegans are already small. I was doing injection of DNA into their gonads, which are like obviously like very small.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I had to manipulate this machine to do this micro injection. So I became really good at that. And so I was invited back to work for this professor after the Bridge to Summer research was over, because they were paying me $5,000 to work that summer, which to me at the time was a good amount of money.
Yeah.
It was able to, like, I had a car that I was working on that I was building at the time. It was a Scion TC. I bought it, and then a week later the engine blew up, so I had to like put another engine in, and I had to do a bunch of work to that car, and so that funded that, and it let me like learn the campus. So I learned the campus before my clique, my group of people that I told you about that were all transferring over. So they all came out to visit me while I was working, and like I was able to give them the tour, and like I felt like hot shit. It's like, I've been here. I work here. This is my house, and so they all thought I was really cool, or I thought they thought I was cool, and it was a really good time in my life. Honestly, best times of my life were college, like especially at UCR. It was fucking phenomenal. So while I'm there, it's summer. It's in Riverside, 120 fucking degrees. The campus is one of the largest UCs, and there's a lot of walking. Every day I was like walking miles in the heat. Like I'd park my motorcycle, and I'd have to walk like miles because I didn't mention this, but I drove solely a motorcycle for years. Like ever since I got my license, I had like 5 bikes, and I crashed all of them. No, I got in quite a few crashes. I got in this crazy crash when I was 20, and I lost my thumb. It was like,
wait, what?
Yeah, it was hanging on by a tendon, and it was like. And that's why I have this scar here. But anyway, I also I broke my scapula and my clavicle and ruptured my acromioclavicular joint. And and I thought I was dead. I just remember, so I was really high. I was really high. I hit a speed bump at 100 miles an hour because on a normal like 50 mile an hour road on a motorcycle, you can get to 100 miles an hour real quick and then get back to 50. So it's not unusual to be going 100 miles an hour on a 50 mile an hour road. But this is a road that I wasn't familiar with, and the 50 mile an hour road turned into a residential. And because of that, people were known to speed there, and because of that, they installed these crazy speed bumps. And this crazy speed bump nearly killed me, and I hit it, and I flew, and Yeah, I was separated from my bike. I just like I thought I was dead. I thought I was dead, and then I hit the floor, and my bike was like 100 feet away from me. It slid, and like I stand up, and like I'm like this, and like people here because it's a residential, right? So
Yeah.
there are houses on either side, and people are like coming out of their houses because they hear this like what sounds like an explosion, I'm sure, and and I'm like walking towards my bike like this, and I bend down and pick my bike up, and I see my finger. It's just like. And I see my bones, and I'm like, oh no. And then I still try to pick my bike up because I'm scared shitless of the cops, because by this point I've gotten so many tickets, man, with my speedy fast car and my motorcycles, and so I'm looking around me, and these people are like looking at me like I'm nuts, and I'm like, is my back broken? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, someone should probably call an ambulance. And they said, we already did. And I'm like, okay. So I sat down on the curb, and like the adrenaline was just like, I wasn't in any pain at
Sure.
all. And then the ambulance got there, and I'm like joking with the EMTs because it was a guy and a girl. And I was like, you two are a cute couple. And let's and this is after my whole experience with like Adderall, and I've always been like against painkillers, so they were trying
Yeah.
to give me morphine in the ambulance. I was like, no, please don't give me any. And then I'm going through this weird spiritual thing too, right? At that time, so I'm like, no, I need to experience this pain because I'm meant to experience this pain. You know, this pain is going to make me a greater person. And I know it's going to hit once the adrenaline goes, but yeah, it hit, and I was in quite a lot of pain. But I pushed through it, and I didn't ask for any painkillers.
I cannot believe that you went from being this shy guy to becoming almost a neuroscientist in a way, right?
I am a neuroscientist.
I know we haven't got there, but
Yeah.
I mean, looking back at yourself, and you know how hard it is to. I mean, I don't know how hard it is, but I have to question: how hard is it to maintain your relationship, right, with with your girl, and to also be pursuing this super lofty goal, right, and going through all this,
Yeah, it's definitely not without its difficulties for sure. I know I probably put her through a lot. I mean, she's put me through a lot too. You know, that's how relationships are. I'm sure you know. I know you know.
Yeah.
But she's been there the whole time, and I've been there for her. So, yeah. But yeah, no, and there's still a lot to go. You know, I still intend to go to medical school.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet, and so that's 4 years right there that I'm not going to be able to give her any attention. And then after that, it's going to be residency, which is going to be another 4, 5, 6 years, depending on what I get matched into. I was accepted to medical school after university, and I chose not to go for a couple of reasons, but we'll get there. So yeah, I'm doing this research, and it felt great, but and I was asked to continue doing the research. But anyway, I was going back to the 120 degree days in Riverside, walking miles. Yeah, that shit sucked. And then I'm walking in the lab one day, and this guy just zips past me, and boom, and I'm like, what the heck was that? He was on an electric skateboard, and I'm like, I had never seen one before. Like they're everywhere now, and then like. I had never seen one before, and I remember back to what my physics professor, Professor Anderson, was saying. He said one day everyone is going to be riding electric skateboards because it is the most energy efficient method of transportation that exists. And this is before electric skateboards were a thing. This was like when I first started college, and he ended up dying. Rest in peace, man. That guy was super cool. Yeah, that guy was super cool. I really looked up to him. He was a freaking genius. But yeah, I saw this guy zip past me, and Professor Anderson had just died, and I was like, he was right, and I was like, man, I need to get one of those. Like, that is the most badass, most metal shit I have ever seen. He was going so fast, because I skateboarded all growing up. I was never good at it, but I would bomb hills with Daniel and Michael, and that was it was cool, but that was really cool. I'm a gearhead, right?
Right.
I love going fast. My motorcycle is really fast. It's not something Yeah, I've done some dumb things on that thing. It was the fastest production motorcycle until I think 2003. Um, or maybe it was 99. I don't know, something like that. It's an older bike, but it's got a race engine in it on top of that. So not only was it fast from the factory, but it's got a fully built race engine. It blows flames. It's fucking loud. It's badass. It's a complete drag bike, without the extended swing arm, so it looks like kind of like a regular bike, but it doesn't sound like one. But it's called the Super Blackbird. If you're ever interested in looking.
Heck yeah, dude.
CBR 1100XX. I love that thing. Super comfortable too. Anyway, yeah, I saw this electric skateboard. I was like, I gotta get one. So I started looking into them, and I'm like, holy shit, they're $3,000. That's a motorcycle right there, you know. And I was like, well, you know, like how hard could they be to make? So I went on this deep dive, and that was like the summer before I started at UCR. I'm doing research there. I'm working, but I'm like also doing research on like how am I going to build this electric skateboard. And
of course, you're not going to buy it. You got to build it, right?
Yeah,
that's the beauty of the mind, you know.
Yeah. So I found this community of people online that were electric skateboard enthusiasts, and they all built their own. They're called DIY electric skateboards, and there are laws that govern how fast and how powerful you can make an electric vehicle without having to get it registered as like a road vehicle. And so the skateboards that they sell, I think they're limited at 3,000 watts. It's maybe less, maybe it's 2,000. So I made a 10,000 watt skateboard, which I don't remember. I think it's over 12 horsepower, which is on a skateboard, which is crazy. But I built this skateboard. It's extravagant, fucking crazy. It hits 60 miles an hour, yeah, on a skateboard. Yeah,
60 miles an hour on a skateboard.
Yeah, so
going downhill, or are you talking about just
going straight?
What?
Yeah, and that's actually the limit of the speed.
That's the top. Yeah.
So I could do that going uphill. Like it still has more in the tank. That's just electronically limited at that speed.
Right.
And then honestly, at that speed, you start to get speed wobbles, and you're just
yeah.
So I have a lot of stories about electric skate. That was a big part of my life because I started the electric skateboard club at UCR, the president and founder, and along with a couple of my other people friends that I found, but I was the only one with one that I built. Everyone else like bought these $3,000 skateboards, and I'm just shitting on them with my skateboard that I built for like $300, right? Out of like RC parts, like it yeah. I was pretty cool.
Yeah.
At least I think I was pretty cool. But no, it definitely turned heads because it was big and like bright, and it like had wires hanging out of it, and it was like looked crazy. It looked cool though. It looked like somewhat professional, and it definitely looked crazy. But yeah, everyone knew me as that guy on the electric skateboard. Though there were a lot of guys on electric skateboards in college. Like it was a big thing because transportation, like everyone was either on an electric scooter or electric skateboard or a bicycle or a regular skateboard. But I was the only one with like a DIY at first. So I started this group, right? And then I started building them for other people.
Oh, whoa.
And I started selling them. And then I started selling parts. And then I started repairing people's skateboards. And I learned everything there is to know, for the most part, about electric skateboards, all the different brands, all the different models, how to repair each one, how much it cost. And so that was like my side gig at UCR, kind of an obsession. And yeah, so I got that out of the way. Yeah, I love electric skateboards.
No, that's dope.
Yeah, I built my own batteries because if you were to buy a 10,000 watt battery with a really large capacity made of 18650s that can like consistently supply that amperage for a long period of time that it takes like, you know, to ride a skateboard, they're expensive. They're really expensive. They're like $2,000 for just the battery. Mind you, these skateboards are $3,000. They're using tiny batteries. Mine had a big macho battery, and I had to learn how to build a battery using other batteries. So my battery on my skateboard has, I think, 160 other batteries that 160 18650s, like, you know, the vape batteries. You wire them all together, you solder them all together, and then you put a battery management system on it, and you attach it to an electronic speed controller and then motors, and, you know, you got an electric skateboard more or less.
What is one of the things I wanted to ask you is what's keeping you so, driven, during this time. You said school was one of the best times for you, where
Yeah.
you kind of felt like you really, obviously you found yourself, but there's like this sense of just now, just, how do I say, this new rush of just of excitement, I guess, for life, in a way. I'm not sure if that makes any
You
sense.
know, I throughout my entire time at okay, so at first, like, it was the transhumanist thing, right? I was like, man, I'm super motivated, and then I got to school and I'm like, wow, I'm doing really good at this. I took a
Mm.
Japanese class and like I loved that class and I got an A in it, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to Japan one day. I'm gonna be a doctor in Japan. Like that was my whole thing. I'm gonna be a doctor in Japan and live my anime life, you know?
Right.
And yeah, I'm a total weeb, bro.
Dude, clearly we both are, right?
Yeah, we can talk about that later. We don't need to
Yeah.
on the podcast. But yeah, so anyway, I loved school. It was really fun. I got to meet like-minded individuals. I felt that like I was where I belonged, and I loved it. And then I always like looked at transferring to a UC as not an end goal, but like a big goal of mine.
Mm.
And so when I finally, because I Daniel Lynch, he went to Cal Poly and he lived on campus, and that was the coolest thing ever. I thought he was the coolest person in the entire world because he was living on campus at this university by himself. He got out of his parents' place, It's like,
Right.
that's kind of like your goal for a really long time as one of your first goals is like in life.
Yeah,
You
sure.
want your own place, right?
Right.
And he did that, but he was living at school and he's like living the life. Like that was so cool to me. And I'm here at my at Mount Sac, which is right down the street from Cal Poly Pomona.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, one day I'm gonna live on campus and I want to experience like this college life, and I want these friends. So another thing, like, and it's something that I think really needs to be brought to the attention of everyone in the world, um, is that there's this like separation. So okay, before I went to college,
Mm.
I never met any PhD in my life. I never met anyone who graduated from college that I know of, except for my teachers.
Mm.
Literally, like I just thought that they were just outliers,
Mm.
right? But when I got to college, I started meeting all these people, and they're all like-minded individuals who are trying to graduate from college. They're all into science, and they're like there's this whole like society of people who graduated college. There's like, it's called the private sector, right?
Yeah, right.
Like all these people, they work in their laboratory jobs, they work in their biotech jobs, they work like they're all living somewhere, generally nice, but like you can't get these jobs everywhere. Like I just and I'll get into that a little later too. But they're concentrated in areas. Like there's a biotech hub in San Diego. There's a biotech hub in Northern California. Northern California in general is a pretty big biotech hub. There's a biotech hub in like New England area. And then other than that, like Central America, like most places in SoCal, like there's no jobs to be had in biotech. And but yeah, I never had anyone tell me how to go to college or how to do this or what it means to get a degree or any of that. Like it's really something that's passed down in families. And I'm a first generation college student, and no one that I knew, well, I met a couple other first generation college students.
Sure.
For the most part, none of them were like, their parents had gone to college. Their brothers and sisters had gone to college, their family, their long line of college graduates. And like, I don't know. College was a big thing for me. It was the best part of my life and a big part of my life. And I'm really glad that I did that. And, yeah, I don't know, because growing up, I never thought I was going to do that. And I think that everyone should have the opportunity and everyone does have the opportunity to go to college.
Sure.
Everyone does. There's like so many programs out there that'll let you get to college. And I think that people aren't aware of them. They're not interested. I mean, I get that too, because like for a long time, I didn't think I was going to go to college. And like some people, I just didn't find my path fast enough. But it's something I try to tell my sister. I wanted her to, she got great grades, and I wanted to be that mentor for her that showed her like, you know, like you should go to college because you're cut out for it. And yeah, but you know, whatever.
Right. So you're working on electric skateboards. Is that when you graduate
I'm sorry,
college?
I'm deviating a lot. Yeah, so I get my skateboard all built and finished and stuff, and I'm working in this lab. It's a genetics lab, the RNA lab, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like my major is neuroscience. I'm here because I want to work on brains. I want to learn about brains. I want to learn more about neuroscience, and like all my classes, you know, are neuroscience. And I'm doing a lot of cool stuff in those classes, cool experiments and stuff. But I wanted to work in a neuroscience lab, and I got this opportunity to do so, and I took it. And I was working in the lab of Khalil Abdul Razak, and it was an auditory neuroscience lab, and it was doing like I was able to get my own project in that lab, which I didn't really have in the other lab. I was just kind of helping the graduate students out, but I had my own project where I was going to be first author, and I got to do brain surgery on mice. And,
Whoa.
Yeah. And so the first thing I did in that lab was they had to make sure I was cut out for it, right?
Right.
So
right.
I was aiding
Go on.
I was aiding a graduate student in their experiment, and what they were doing was basically they gave these mice a Fragile X chromosome, right? They have a mutated chromosome that gives them Fragile X, right? Fragile X syndrome. So they were funded by I don't know, the NIH or something, to do this research about Fragile X. And what they would do is they'd give these mice Fragile X, and then for some reason, when someone with Fragile X hears a really loud noise, sometimes they seize up and they have seizures, and sometimes they die. And so this experiment, they were putting these mice in the sound booth, and they were just blasting them with the loudest sound that they could. And then some died and some didn't. And they had these electrodes in their brain, and they were attached to computers that were monitoring their brain waves. And so basically, after they were exposed to the loud sound, they were done, and they were now trash, right? So we have these mice, whether they're dead or not, they need to be disposed of. So my job was to take all the living mice and kill them. And like me, you know, I'm an animal lover. I'm like,
yeah,
wow, like I really have to desensitize myself and you know, like kind of just shut the empathic part of my mind off, and I think that was kind of like a trial for me right there, because I had to kill like dozens of mice, you know, and I would just come in and just kill mice. I'm like, that's what I'm doing. But eventually they gave me a project, and they had told me in the beginning that I would be getting this project, and it was to inject this enzyme into the brains of mice. And it was an auditory lab, so they were experts in the auditory cortex, and so and I was to become one too. And so that I was injecting this enzyme called chondroitinase into the auditory cortex of mice, because this enzyme degraded this extracellular matrix that ensheaths neurons that causes them to stop growing. So the idea was that if we can inject this enzyme that degraded this structure in the brain, it would cause learning, right? It causes branching of the neural pathways. Because this structure is stopping that from happening. So if we dissolve the structure, we see this branching. And so I was to determine the best method of administration of this drug and dosages. And so so I was just experimenting with dosages, different types of techniques of drilling into the brain and injecting into the brain, indwelling catheters, a bunch of different things. And that was the best thing I've ever done. I can't explain to you what it feels like to cut off an animal's skull cap, mess with their brain, cement the skull cap back on, and then watch them get better over the course of a week, and then just be a normal mouse again. Like, that's crazy.
That's
Did I make you uncomfortable?
No, that's That's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it really was.
And that's with your two hands.
Yeah, yeah, and these are the hands that
Wow.
I owned, honed my craft of like using a pipette and like it just goes back to my whole life of just doing like little stuff with electronics,
Playing
soldering,
guitars and just
playing guitar, making batteries, like putting together audio systems, like building computers, I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I wanted because I want to be a neurosurgeon. I wanted this experience, and it was the best experience of my life, one of them. And yeah, and then so I'm supposed to be first author in this paper, right? I graduate. I'm still doing I graduate. I'm still doing research, and then COVID hits. And when COVID hit, they took all non-essential personnel out of the school, out of the labs, and that ended my research, and I was never able to finish my project, and it was really, 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 really sad.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be going to med school now anyway, so I applied. I got in, and I didn't go. I didn't go for a couple of reasons. One was because I had this opportunity to get this really kick-ass job in a laboratory, and I wanted to experience working in the industry.
Yeah.
And see what I could do with my degree.
And that's good to put on your resume, dude. Like,
yeah, for sure. And another was because my girlfriend was, we were cohabiting like our space, and like we were depending on each other to pay rent because we were living on an apartment off campus but really close to campus. And we moved out together, like this is our first place together, and I didn't want to see her move back in with her parents. I knew, like, she made that place a home, right? Like we had like decor and stuff, and like we had our cat, and I didn't want to take that away from her. So, I mean, I'm not blaming her or anything, like I just, I was like, okay, well, let's take some time. I'll get this job, and you can set yourself up, to, make enough money to do it on your own. We can find a situation where, you can live comfortably while I go off to medical school, because, I'm going to be somewhere else in a different state, in this case, a different country. But,
wait, did you get accepted into Japan medical school? Or
No,
I'm about to say, like, wait, what?
No, so I took the easy way out, because because COVID hit, there were some schools that were waiving the need to take the MCAT. And the MCAT is an 8.5-hour test that you have to study for forever. And it's like, and I was like, if I can just bypass that and go to the school in the Caribbean, which is the best school in the Caribbean, they waived it. And I was like, it's like they are SGU, St. George's University. They are the single largest provider of U.S. medical doctors in the world. They are the biggest medical school with like the most students that graduate and become doctors. And so I was like, I want to go there. And it's a beautiful school. It's on the island of Grenada. Grenada.
Yeah.
It's like it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful Caribbean island. Like I can just, chill on the beach. Like their campus is amazing. They have this, I'm really big on the gym. So they have this gym that overlooks the ocean, and they have this study area that overlooks the ocean, and they have like study areas on the beach. And it's like a beautiful place. The water is crystal clear, and it's like, yeah, I want to go there. Like I don't care if it's, the Caribbean. Not only do I not have to take the MCAT, I can live in paradise for 2 years. And I've never been out of the country. So I was like, this is my opportunity to do that. And, but, looking back, maybe it's a good thing that I didn't go there because I could go to somewhere better.
Yeah.
I could definitely go somewhere better. But, so I started working that job that I mentioned. It was the world's largest COVID lab in Santa Clarita, California, and it was really good money, a lot more money than I'd be making anywhere else. It was a great opportunity. I was like, how can I pass this up? So started working there. I was actually the first person hired because I was like actively applying for jobs like crazy at the time just to see what I could get. And I because I was the first person hired there, like I helped set up the lab. So I was like bringing in machines, and like they found out I could use the forklift. So I was like putting stuff in their warehouse and stuff. And I didn't mention I was a assistant manager at a machine shop when I was in college at one point. And so I learned how to use a forklift there, and I also learned how to do 3D modeling and
Oh
stuff.
wow.
Yeah, which helps me now. Like I'm really geeky about my 3D printer, and like making stuff, and because I can make parts for cars, and I can make parts for bikes, and parts for my skateboard, and yeah. But anyway,
So you grinded the job. I think I know a little bit about this part as well.
yeah. So I worked there for 2 years. And because like I said, like I was the first person hired, like I learned a lot, and so I taught everyone their stuff, and so they promoted me to shift lead because they couldn't promote me to full supervisor, and but slowly things started to change there. They got rid of, and I can't say too much.
Sure, no, you don't need to. I think the point
I
is
signed,
that like
NDAs and stuff.
no, I'm what I'm curious is that what is kind of the future hold, you know? It seems like there's like a one thing about you, Randy, was I never knew is even though you find an opportunity, right? And you try to make the best of the opportunity that you have. And every time I've seen you go this journey of life, right? You start off in, reading, and then like you really dive into it. Doing music, you really dive into it. Your relationships, you really dive into it. When you get the chance to go to school, you really dive into it. Your band, you really dive into it. Like these relationships that you build, you really dive into it. You put your 100% in, to your detriment or to your benefit. The goals is that like that's life, right?
Yeah.
It's like you scale. Like you always scale. Like it's really, really cool. I never knew what struggle you kind of went through internally and what you had to conquer and get over to kind of be able to feel good about yourself where you're at right now.
Yeah.
I never knew that you had this internal battle of like not really knowing your purpose, who you are, at such a young age. Like, geez, like contemplating life, what it's about. And to see you now in a position where you kind of have a better grasp of just who you are. And the second wind, right? The second, like, all right, new fresh start, new place to, okay, what is the kind of goals now? What's the dreams? What are you fighting for? What do you want out of life?
Well, I still want to be a neurosurgeon. But I think it started out like I wanted to be accepted by others, and then after I got that acceptance, it's like, who are they accepting, right? And then I got that whole like who am I? Like I want to accept myself. I want to be somebody who I can be proud of,
right?
And somehow I settled on, over all of my experiences and stuff, I settled on becoming a neurosurgeon. And whether or not I become a neurosurgeon, like I don't know, that's just my goal. Like I honestly. I kind of want to just help people. I that's something that my uncle taught me. He did this crazy thing, which is super dangerous, but whenever there was somebody stranded on the side of the road, he would pull over and he would find out what's wrong with them and he would fix their shit. And like on the spot, like there was this one time he used, this chick's, belt snapped on her car, and, he used 2 staples and her underwear to mend the belt just enough so that she could get her car home. But he was always giving people rides, just doing all this crazy stuff. But I think that he did all of that for my benefit, because he always made a point to do it when I was with him. Like he's got this kid in the car with him who's like kind of his like mentor. He was trying to instill into me the want to help people, and like that's what I do. Like I know how to do a lot of things. Like I'm a multi-talented person. I'm a jack of all trades, absolute master of none. I have not mastered anything in my life, but I know I can do a lot of shit. Like I know a lot about a lot, and always find a way to help people, and it's always getting in my way though. It's like I can't help myself. Like, if someone needs help, like I gotta help them, and so I know that's my calling in life, is to use my talents to help people, and I want to help people in a really deep way, and I think health is really something that I can help people with, and what
you said this in your about going over things. You mentioned that anytime you want to change, you change yourself first, right?
Yeah.
And it's really it's really one of the guests I had, his name was Amari, says your calling is to do things that you hate, right? So what do you hate? Okay, then fix that. And it seems like you don't like seeing people struggle like you struggled. Where you mentioned when you were young that you saw people who were shy and being picked on, and you decided, hey, now I wasn't gonna do that, right?
Yeah.
You see people and what if I kind of in the same kind of natural, like, not the brain's just, you're not having fully figured out, your body don't have fully figured out, like, I can help you figure that out, let me help you solve a problem. And it's really cool. And yeah, I'm grateful to have met you, and I'm grateful to have known you, and I'm grateful for the fact that you were able to share so much about yourself. And I think you have so many things about your life and what you mentioned, and just the people that have mentored you and who have poured into you, that you do not take for granted. And it's crazy because a lot of people do, and you really just try to show the appreciation of everyone, But there's also this obviously the strong person like in you that is like, you just want to be the best version of you. You're just trying to be the best version of you in any way, shape, or form. And not because you want to have this like ego, like, look at me, I'm the best, but more of just like you just want to be happy with yourself, and know that like if it ever goes black, if you can help not, make it, you don't want it to go black, but if you can help it, you want to know that at least you did something right for the people around you. You made a good influence on the people around you, and I think that's really noble. And tell me if I'm wrong about any of this, because this is just kind of what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it sounds better when you say it,
my friend.
Thank you. You're making me blush.
No, dude. I think I'm. Nah, man. I never knew, and so I'm very thankful that you shared it. With us. Is there anything else about your kind of life that you would like to touch upon, or anyone that I know it's so hard to try and like talk about so many years of life in just a certain amount of time, but
yeah, I don't want to drone on and on. I mean, I could talk about man, I could talk about my love life for hours.
Sure, yeah.
I could talk about any of the things that we talked about for hours and hours. So
we might have to do this again then.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure.
Well, the last thing we want to do, normally we go over questions, but honestly, I think your story is more than enough. Is the painting here? So Sarah is the one who drew MKC. She drew the painting for you. One of the things when I met with you recently was your car. Cars that you love, been working on for so long, and working with your hands and building something. And we had we thought we were gonna put like this like souped up car, but we're like, you probably have so many cars, it's so hard to find out what model and number it is. But we thought like the toy car, like, I don't know if you ever had a toy car.
I mean, all my cars are toy cars.
I imagine
so that's really on the nose.
But it's a little bit of that orange, maybe, it's
it's crazy because I asked you, at the beginning of this or sometime through it, like, did you ever see my orange car?
No.
Like, that's an orange car. Yeah, I had a bright orange car, man, and it was small, just like that. So.
Yeah, man, we have it on top of a hill. I don't know if that was smart, because the canyon was probably not what you.
I think the only way that car's moving these days is if it's on the top of a hill.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No, man. Just like, where can people interact with you? Where can people find you? If people have questions, maybe similar experiences.
I check my Instagram. I'm kind of like, I don't really post frequently, but I'm kind of like one of those people that stalks everyone else. No, I mean, like, when I have nothing to do, I just go on Instagram. Reels and all that. So, and I talk to people on there. So I got some buddies that are out of the country, and they don't really have phones.
Sure. We'll put it in the description. So if anyone's going to want to reach out and have
Yeah,
some
it's
questions.
at Randy_powered, because my life is Randy powered. Randy_powered. That's cheesy.
Thank you guys for everyone who joined. Please, like, subscribe, share. And until next time, next week, we have our next show. And hopefully we do some evening show. We see Randy again.
Hey, I'll be there.
Hey, get excited.
Yeah.
We got the confirmation. Have a good evening. Have a good night. Friday, right? So have a good weekend. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there. Take care of yourselves.